computer. All right, let's do this shit. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Natty Boys Podcast. I am your host, Wayne, and I'm here with my co-host, Dirk Emmerich. And we got a very special guest on today, man. Super excited to have you on. We have WNBF natural body. You're not a pro yet, right?
Not yet,
Pro
not
physique.
yet.
But
Future
anyway,
pro.
natural bodybuilder, Josh Kenyon. Welcome, man. Welcome. So excited and appreciative to have you on, man. How you doing, bro?
I'm hanging in there, 5 weeks out. But yeah, I do want to say it's an honor to be on. Definitely it's cool. It's humbling. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Oh, look at this guy. Humble, man. Humble. I like it. I love it. Shoot. So let's just get into it. Like, actually introduce yourself for the people that don't know who you are and that are watching. Introduce yourself.
My name is Josh Kenyon. I'm 24 years old. I'm a natural bodybuilder. I've been lifting for 10 years now. I fell in love with training at a young age. Just starting out, I was super small, just a teenager wanting to put on muscle, insecure. And got into working out and started, getting more and more immersed in I guess the bodybuilding community and specifically natural bodybuilding. And that's when I decided I wanted to, give the competitive aspect of it a shot. And so I competed way back in 2018. And I have yet to compete since then. And so here we are, 5 years later, and redemption.
About to give it a go, huh? Yeah, a lot to talk about today, man. So yeah, the Mayhem is your first show of the season this season, right?
Yep. I competed there in 2018, and now we're coming back.
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, man. So what's prep like right now? Because you are, what is it like? When's the Mayhem? July what? You have like 6 weeks?
15th. It's the 15th, yeah.
6 weeks, right?
Just a little over a month. It's hard to believe, man.
Yeah, man.
It's hard to believe, I'm feeling it right now.
Oh yeah, you're at that point where you just
definitely energy levels are just significantly lower for me at this point. I started out way back in November, that was when I started dieting initially, and I did like a pre-prep diet from like right at the start of November to it was somewhere around the first week or two of January, and then I did like a diet break for about a month, and then from there I started slowly coming down in weight, and I started out right around 200 pounds. That was about the peak of my bulk, for the end of 2022, and now I'm low 170s right now.
Oh shit. Okay. So you're competing in you're a lightweight. Oh no, you're a middleweight, right? Is that the weight class that you're competing?
Right at the end of the middle, the bottom end of the middleweights, top end of the lightweight. So I'll probably be middleweight.
Yeah, you'll be middleweight. Okay. Yeah, man. Well, what is the diet like? What does the training look like? Well, let's talk about diet first. Like, I know this is relative, but what are your calories and macros right now?
So it's funny, man. Like a lot of times people ask me about the macros, and like right now, man, I really just I've been eating the same 5 meals for like it's really been like 2 years, almost right at 2 years now.
No shot.
5 I started
every day the same meals.
Just less volume, probably, right? Like less than doing a bulk.
Right. Yeah. So it started when I started working with AJ Morris, which was almost exactly 2 years ago. Summer of 2021, we started working together, and we kind of had like a 5 meal setup, and I've really stuck with it pretty much for the most part. The same meals, some a few like carb sources, switched out over time,
Mm-hmm.
depending on whether I was, in a cutting phase or gaining phase. But it's been, yeah, basically the same 5 meals, and like from the start of the prep to now, it's pretty much been the same, and just a reduction in
Yeah, yeah.
the calories, from some of those meals. But yeah, I want to say right around 2,500 calories right now. On my lower days, I have, like, right now we've been running these past few weeks like 6 lower days and then 1 refeed day. So literally just 1 refeed day, which I'm somewhere around right around 3,700 calories for that day. And yeah, like I said, I just stick with the same 5 meals. So same foods, and I've been eating that, since the start of the prep. So there wasn't like a big transition
Same.
from, the gaining phase to the prep,
Sure.
which was actually super nice and made things so much less stressful for me, compared to in the past. Because it really didn't feel like I was prepping starting out, because I was just doing the same thing I was already doing before.
Right. You were just like Dirk said, you were eating the same meals, but just more volume when you were gaining
Yeah.
and less when you kind of were on that contest prep diet, right?
Yeah,
What were those
pretty.
5 meals?
So, so like right now, like I'll have some things changed a little bit. Like before I was blending up or having like a shake, but now I'm eating like the oats, for example, whey, oats, like
Let's break.
nut
Let's do this.
butter.
This would be break down like your day of eating, like from
Okay.
when you wake up to like sleeping, right before you
So,
sleep.
so yeah, so it will depend on like when I train, depending on if I start out training earlier. But typically, what
Mm.
I'll do is I'll have like my shake be my first meal, which would just be like right now it's just whey, berries. That's literally it, whey and berries. And I'll just
Okay.
I'll blend it up, and I'll put, I'll have like, I got the point now, I'm prepping, so I have like, I'll put extra ice in there, so it's almost like the consistency is like ice cream, but it's just whey and berries. But that'll be my first meal, and then typically right now, my second meal will be my pre-workout meal, because I'm training a little earlier right now. And then I'll have just whey isolate, oats, berries, nut butter. Um, that'll be the post workout. Will be again isolate, oats, and a banana. That's that's like my post workout. And then I'll have my next meal will just be chicken and some green vegetables. Um, weighed out, of course. And then my last meal will be chicken, rice, green vegetables. Oh yeah, and the fourth meal I do have dark chocolate, so that'll be a little source of fats. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
literally, that's been the
Good.
setup right now. And like obviously before when I was at higher calories, like that fourth meal where it was just chicken and vegetables, I had rice, for
Right, right.
example. And we got to the point now where we just took out the carbs from that meal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, things like that. And for example, like in the morning with the shake, initially there was oats as well on that one. It was, isolate oats, berries, and like nut butter. And now like nut butter's taken out, for the
Mm,
fats were taken out there.
right.
And the carbs are taken out where most of them were. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really how it's been.
That's
And
crazy.
similar now, like, obviously in the off season I was eating a lot
Yeah,
more.
yeah.
And like I was at the point there where maybe I was blending up food, and for a period of time I was also actually using cream of rice instead, um before switching to oats, because oats in the off season can be pretty rough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Hell yeah.
So, but yeah, that's where I'm at right now, and for the most part that's how my day looks with eating.
That's crazy. So, do you actually track, like, does AJ track macros, or you just kind of just keep those meals and just start taking out like certain parts of the meal? Like if you need less fat, you're gonna take out that nut butter.
It's, well, yeah, everything is, tracked on the spreadsheet, but honestly, like I don't really focus on the macros so much. So
Okay.
like if I
the same thing every
I
day.
can't, like, I'd have to look it up right now to see the exact numbers right now where I'm
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
But yeah, that's around what I said, and I actually have it.
Do you weigh your food though? You weigh your food, or you just kind of eye it?
Yeah. So for
Okay.
example, like in the morning, like it's 50 grams of whey isolate.
Right.
You know, like yeah, I still it's all weighed out. And like for example, I can look it up right now. Like it's typically 233 protein, 49 fat, 287 carbs. That's like a typical day right now, a lower day. And then like my refeed day, like just this past Thursday was 289 protein, 72 fat, 506 carbs.
Yeah. Damn.
So, but yeah, it's just funny because like in the past, I used to, like my previous prep back in 2018, I was just counting macros. I didn't have set meals like this. But honestly, it made things a lot more stressful because I was overthinking, and thinking like, oh, what do I want to eat next? What can I fit in my macros? Versus
True.
now it's just like, these are the meals I'm eating and there's no debating on it. It's just like, this is what I'm going to
Yeah.
have. I don't have to think about it. I know what I'm going to eat. And, you get to that point in prep where, your hunger's high and you're not going to be able to feel satiated regardless. So, you kind of just have to accept that's
Oh
part of
yeah.
it. So it's like, okay, I'm just gonna eat this and I don't have to
Sure.
think about it. So it's actually made things a lot less stressful for me. And like I said, I've been doing the same thing in the off season, so the transition wasn't really much of a transition, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. Hella interesting. So is there a reason you drink just whey and you don't eat like whole foods for the most part to get your protein intake, or you just do it because it's easy?
Well, it's just digest well, for
Mm.
me right now. Like I still have, my chicken for 2 meals, but yeah, for the other meals, it's just been isolate, man. And it
Yeah. Like
just
half your
digests
day
well
is
for
pretty much.
me.
Yep.
So yeah,
Interesting.
I've just stuck with it because it was what I was doing in the off season.
Yeah. Man, I want to talk about all this your prep coming up, but before we get into that, let's talk about where are you from, by the way. You're from the East Coast, you said, right? Is it Georgia?
Yeah, from Georgia. Yep, small town in Georgia.
Yeah. Um let's talk about that. Let's talk about like early years. Like what's it like growing up in Georgia?
It's hard. Well, I mean, it's
Where
hard for
you're
me to
from?
say what it's like. I mean, 'cause I
Where
haven't
exactly are
been
you
to a
from
lot of
in
other
Georgia?
places. It's a town called Donaldsonville. No, it's
I
just
never
some
heard of
really
that.
small town. It's right in the like southwest corner of Georgia, so it's right next to Alabama and Florida.
Oh wow. It's not
It's
by
like
Atlanta.
it's right there. No, so where I'm at right now, I'm actually in Savannah, so I'm actually closer to Atlanta. But
Oh, I know someone that lives in
um,
Savannah actually, yeah.
yeah, but no, I'm originally from just a small town, Southwest Georgia, man. Not much. There was, I want to say, it's about just a few thousand people in my town. It was like there was only a handful of restaurants to go to. There was like not even a Walmart to go to. Like yeah, like two grocery stores, things like that. It was like a couple of red lights and that was it. So it was like everybody knows everybody. It was
Oh, it's like that. Okay.
one of
Like a
those
village.
towns, yeah. Like I lived like really close to the school and like, I had my mom as a teacher, for example, you know, and like everybody, it's like everybody knows everybody, so you can't hide anything.
Yeah.
Can't really have any secrets.
What was your upbringing like? Your mom is a teacher. You had both parents growing up?
Yeah, I had both parents growing up and then, like my mom and dad divorced, like when I was a teenager and things like that. But yeah, I had and it was funny because actually my grandparents, my mom's parents, they almost were like second parents to us because I had three brothers. So it's me and three other boys, and initially it was like my mom and dad trying to take care of all of us, and so my grandparents lived close by, and so they would help out with my mom was teaching, my dad was working, so they would help out, pick us up from school, things like
Babysit, yeah.
that, cook food, Had
Yeah,
grandma's
yeah, yeah.
cooking growing up, grandpa's cooking,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
that was me. I had two older brothers, one younger brother, and just middle child, man.
Oh, you're the middle child. What was that like? You guys played
I
sports and stuff or no?
Yeah, I played
Yeah.
sports. Most of my brothers, everybody plays sports some now. I played baseball. That was like my thing growing up. Before I got into lifting, so I guess you could say, I had an athletic background. I used to always be active as a kid. You know, back in the day when kids used to play outside.
Yeah, yeah,
Still,
right.
it was
Yeah, that's
coming right
crazy.
before that era where like nobody, like now it's like kids don't do that anymore. But
I
it
know.
was like right before that period of time, we still had video games, stuff like that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I played baseball growing up, I was active, and whatnot. I played football only once. It was funny because that was like right before I got into lifting, so I was still like really small. I was always, you know, I would say I was probably always smaller for my age. I'm already short. I'm only 5'7", so I was always shorter, but also just smaller in general. Um, and so, I played baseball for the most part. And then when I got into working out, it was like right when I was in eighth grade. I was going into the eighth
Oh,
grade,
really?
like that summer, right before the eighth grade. I was 13. It's been like 10 years now, man. And I was just, really small, and I was tired of being small. I had two older brothers, and one of my older brothers, he played football, he played baseball. He was like more the athlete, you could say.
Yeah.
And he was like, what is he? He's right about 3 years older than me. So he was the swole one, growing up. He was the one who, like, I would say, put on muscle the easiest. People
Wow.
talk about me
Your
having these
family.
great genetics and stuff, but he had these crazy calves, the crazy forearms, like barely had to work out, and he put on muscle. And so, like, for me growing up, I always, like, I got to a point where, like, when I was a teenager, I was getting to that age, where most guys start to, get into training, or think about looking up to like muscular physiques. I would see him, and people would talk about, man, people would talk about him at school, how jacked he was and stuff, and he played
Oh, so he
football
was
and
that.
whatnot
He was
too.
you
And he
before
was
you.
he was the guy, but he was the athlete. He played baseball and
Right.
football,
Popular
and
kid.
pretty popular, yeah. And yeah, he was, yeah, like I said, he was very muscular, and he did obviously work out for sports, but that was the only reason he lifted. He wasn't trying to be a bodybuilder or anything like that, but he looked like one without,
Crazy.
having to try. And so, like, for me, once I got to that age where right before I started working out, it's like I would look up to him and like view him as like being the guy with the good genetics. And I would look at myself as like not having those genetics and being like, man, I
Wow.
wish I was like that. I wish I had those muscles, and like, so I got into lifting, at a young age, and
Yeah.
I was 13, and I was just lifting at my house, and then a few months later, that's when I got like a weight set. So I got like a adjustable bench, squat rack, and like maybe 300 pounds worth of weights, and from an Academy Sports. And there was like a guest bedroom in our house, just carpet, but that's where that became my training room, it became my gym, and I didn't really know obviously how to train at the time, but that's where YouTube came into play, and I learned from the OG fitness community,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
guys like Matt Ogus, guys like Chris
Oh
Jones,
yeah.
the Hodge twins,
Damn. You brought
um,
it back. Oh gee. Oh, so what year was this, by the way? This you're in
right
eighth
around
grade.
right
What
around
year is that?
2013, right around 2013,
Holy.
right around that era, and so that's how I got into like bodybuilding, initially I just wanted to put on muscle, so I just started looking up videos on how to
Yeah.
train and how to work out,
Hell yeah.
because I didn't have anyone to show me,
Your
and
brother didn't know
so,
what he was like kind of doing in the gym? Your
well,
brothers?
none of well, I never went to them for training, or for anything like that, for working out. ended up learning through people on YouTube, watching videos, and I just have always been like an introverted person anyway, so I just kind of would do my thing. And so like I get on YouTube, look at these videos, and like, hey, dang, this guy's got a really good physique, Chris Jones, and start watching videos. And then over time I got more into it, because I started seeing some results, and that's when I started just watching more videos, learning more, and I just became obsessed with like working out and training. It wasn't like I was trying to be a bodybuilder or trying to compete, it was never anything like that, but I got more obsessed with it. And it was kind of like I became addicted to it, man, like the way I felt, with training. And yeah, that's when I started, learning more from different people. And then, I started following people like Matt Ogus, who were, natural bodybuilders. And, he would vlog his preps, and whatnot. And I would see that and be like, dang, who are these guys? And that's when he was working with 3D 3D Muscle Journey. And I started watching their videos and learning from them, and getting more immersed in the natural bodybuilding community. And yeah, I got more into it, but still at the time I wasn't trying to necessarily compete or anything like that. But I was basically training like a bodybuilder, and had, like a workout split similar to that.
What was the goal then? If you like, because you were in like 8th grade, right? Freshman year, I'm assuming, like transitioning into high school. While
I started listening in 8th grade, and then I got more into it, like I said, and it was just I got to the point I just wanted to keep putting on more muscle,
Yeah. So you were into bodybuilding without even kind of knowing.
Yeah, I was into it. It was like I just wasn't necessarily. I didn't have the goal of competing, but I wanted to build the best physique I could build. Basically, I wanted to. Yeah, I wanted to put on as much muscle as I could. I became just kind of obsessed with that. And
why is that? Why do you think that like that just kind of became a thing for you? Was it like low confidence in high school or something? Like
definitely
your brother's popular or whatever. So you want to kind of like one up him or something?
Low, obviously, like low self-esteem, just being smaller always, being smaller, growing up. And I think I just really had this, like I really was, I don't know, I had like a fixation on like really muscular physiques, I guess.
Yeah.
Just because like, I would like watch anime growing up, watch like Dragon Ball Z, and I would, I used to draw anime characters, guys with like these super cool physiques. I used to make them out of modeling clay. I used to make like Dragon Ball Z characters out of modeling clay, like these crazy physiques and stuff. And so I guess I always thought that was cool to have muscles. And then, obviously you get to that age when you're like 13 and, you're kind of insecure and, whatnot. And, for me, I was always super insecure. And then, I looked at my brother and whatnot, and I wanted to, be bigger. And I wanted I wanted people to look at me a certain way. I wanted people to look at me and think like, man, that guy looks like this, or tell me, you know what I mean? It was insecurity. And
were people comparing your brother to you at all, or is it like, because you said he was like real good at sports, he had like already a great physique, I kind of
not
in high school, so
maybe not really comparing me to him, but I would just hear them talk about him, and I kind of would observe that and be like, man, I want to be like that, like I want to have people talking about me like they talk about him, things like that. And so, I was just like super insecure, and then like, I just wanted to be bigger, and it was just like I got obsessed with it, and and I just kept trying to put on weight. Basically I would eat, gain, and lift, and that became like my thing. And once I started lifting, that's when I stopped playing baseball. That's when I stopped playing sports.
Oh wow.
Because I just got into lifting, and like I didn't want to do anything that would take away from it. I was in the band though. I was in like the marching band. So I was like a band nerd.
This guy's an artist and a marching band geek.
I was like the band nerd
who
lifted. I played the trumpet.
Okay.
So I was kind of like that. I was kind of like I didn't really fit in one of those boxes. I started putting on muscle and becoming more muscular, but then I'm also like in the band. I'm like, you know, kind of like in the gifted classes. I was like, pretty. I always made good grades and whatnot. So, but it's kind of different. I didn't really fit in that box. But yeah, once I got into lifting, I stopped playing sports, and that was like my thing. I became obsessed with it, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just kept like I would just eat and lift, that was my thing. I would
Right.
force feed myself, and I think that's how I developed like a bad relationship with food. Was because of that at a young age. Is that like I would, eat and every meal I would stuff myself like I
Yeah.
wasn't tracked. No macros were tracked at that period of
So
time, but it
what
was
was the
just
diet like
like
back then? You were just eating McDonald's or what? Like you were
I
eating
was
all that
just
good food?
eating whatever my family cooked,
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I would just eat whatever they cooked and eat as much as I could each meal. It got to that point, I would force feed. Like in high school, it got, pretty pretty rough, like I was obsessive about it. Where
Because you wanted to get big, right? Is that the reason why
yeah,
you like you knew you had to eat at a surplus?
yeah, and I knew you had to eat, and I used to sneak shakes from the fridge, those Boost nutrition shakes. I don't know if you know that
Yeah, I
brand,
know.
the
Ensure and
Boost.
boost. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but like we used to have like a case of those, and like I would get like four of them or something, and drink them, and then like
Shit.
throw the bottles under my bed.
Wait, they were your parents were
Um,
trying or your family was trying to not have you like drink that much and eat that much, and you were just sneaking
well, they
food.
probably wouldn't recommend me having like four a day, but I
Yeah,
would, they're relatively expensive, but
that too.
I
Yeah,
would
I was
get
about
like
to say in
extra
hindsight.
ones and drink them, and like
Yeah,
throw the bottle in my bed and drink. I was just like force feeding. It was crazy,
dude,
man. And
crazy.
but yeah, I put on a lot of weight. I got to like my heaviest my senior year of high school. Before I ever did a cut, like the first 5 years of my training were just me being in a surplus. Just all throughout high school, that's all it was. There was no cutting. It was like in my mind, it was always like I'm not big enough. I don't have
Right,
enough
right.
muscle.
Yeah,
I'm never good enough. That was like what I would tell myself. It's like you're not good enough, so you got to keep doing
it's
more.
crazy. Yeah, at a young age too. Like, I mean, it's more of a trend now, I think, to see like younger kids like become influencers and into the fitness scene. But like back then, yeah, it wasn't that prevalent. Um,
Yeah, but I think now a lot of it's like they just want to be shredded.
yeah.
No one wants to, spend 5 years in a gaining
Oh hell
phase,
no. People do, yo, dude.
to
There's
put on
people,
muscle
young kids
at a
are
young
on
age.
like trend. I think there's like
Yeah,
a YouTube. I don't really watch them, but there's like they're called the Trend Twins. I hear. I never watched it, but I heard
yeah,
about them, and they're like popular or something. It's like I don't know if they actually take trend or they just call themselves the Trend Twins or. And they're not the only ones. There's just a bunch. I know people personally that just kids that are just jumping on gear. They haven't even been working out for a year yet, and just that's like their
yeah,
first thing they think about. Crazy. But yeah, man, you did it right. 5 years of just straight gaining, like in your newbie like kind of phase, I guess. So I think
yeah,
that
yeah.
definitely was a good thing
Awesome.
for
Oh,
you.
how heavy did you got?
How heavy?
Yeah.
So I got up to for me I was 210.
Damn,
210. That was my
210 to
heaviest
five
at the
seven,
time.
bro.
And for
Holy.
me, that was actually that's the that's the fattest I've ever been. I've been a little heavier than that at this point now, but
Oh, muscle
that was
mass,
the
yeah.
that was the fattest I had ever been, man.
Yeah.
And that was right before I did my first cut. And my first cut happened to also be my first contest prep. So that was a interesting experience
Yeah, let's
there,
talk about that. You graduate high school, right? So you're like 17
Yeah.
at the time.
Yeah, so I
What was that
graduate.
transition into? Because you never thought about bodybuilding, right? When was when did that kind of come into your mind? Like I should compete in bodybuilding.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean the thought, crossed my mind, but it wasn't like something I felt like I had to do, or it was never like the goal. But, I started following more, natural bodybuilders, and, I got to a point where I was 18, I was going into my freshman year. of college, and I was, thinking to myself, man, it would be kind of cool to, you know, give the competitive thing a shot, just to at least say I did it, not have a regret and wish like I had tried it out. And like I said at the time, I was following people like 3D Muscle Journey,
Mhm.
and I learned a lot from them. And I knew that if I was going to work with a coach, I wanted to work with them. So,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
my freshman year of college,
What year was
and
this? When you graduated high school and freshman year of
I
college?
graduated high school in 2017.
What the
So,
hell?
yeah, summer of 2017. I ended up, reaching out to 3D Muscle Journey, and I didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah.
I had never dieted before. I had never cut. I had never tracked a macro, weighed out food. I mean, obviously, I had some knowledge of it because I was following them. I was following Matt Ogus, people like that.
Mhm.
So that was whenever like people started talking about if it fits your macros, and like they were eating like crazy meals, fitting like crazy foods in their
Oh
macros
yeah, the
just
whole
this
Pop-Tart phase
just
and
because
shit.
he could.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was around that time, so like yeah, but like I had never done it myself. I had never weighed out food before. I didn't know what it was like to be hungry. I had been force feeding myself for 5 years. Like
Wow.
I literally had no clue. Like I was never hungry because I
Yeah.
was always force feeding myself. So I went from being my fattest, to starting to work with them. Right before I turned 19 is when I started working with them.
Mhm.
And yeah, I ended up prepping for 40 weeks. I ended up losing like right around 40 pounds. I went from 210 to 165. Had never tracked macros or anything. Obviously, never worked with a coach or anything like that until I started working with Jeff Alberts.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's what I was gonna ask. I thought you were with Berto, but you were with Jeff.
that was with Jeff, yep.
Oh.
And it was awesome, man. It was such a great experience, great first experience, but like I said, I didn't really know what I was getting into. But initially, of course, it was like super exciting because um just obviously I was at a point where like I hated eating, I hated food,
Yeah.
basically. So like being able to actually eat less was unbelievable, like unbelievable at the time. Like I'm telling you, like
Was it
the
easy?
amount the amount of sports feeding I was doing, I didn't even realize that. Like I would spend like hours trying to eat, like for lunch. Like everyone would be done eating at my house, and I would be the last person at the table, stuffing myself, like just force feeding. Like
It's
so,
crazy.
I was so used to like doing that to where like initially dieting was just so unbelievable, like so easy, like initially obviously. And of course you're seeing these visual changes which I had never leaned out before. I had never cut before, so it was crazy to see like the definition. And so it was like super exciting, obviously, to see
Oh yeah.
that. And then I'm checking in with a coach each week, and it's kind of like super cool to like I'm looking forward to the check-ins and all that,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
process. And also just working with them. I had been following them for years, so that was like super cool to me to be able to do that. And of
Oh yeah.
course, as I started leaning out, they started posting me, I think, some on their Instagram and social media. And so that's when I started getting some more people in the natural bodybuilding community to kind of know who I was. And
Yep.
that was like
Yep.
crazy for
I
me.
remember that time because that's when I saw you. I thought you were working with Berto, but
Yeah.
yeah, I guess you were working with Jeff because I saw Berto post you. And Dirk and I have been working with Berto since what did you 2016?
2016.
Yeah, same
2016,
here,
yeah.
2016. So when he saw you come on the circuit, I'm like, oh shit, this guy's
And
19.
yeah. And that
Yeah.
was crazy for me to have all these people like starting to follow me. Like it was like I didn't even know what to do. It was unbelievable for me. And again, it was like some of these people I knew beforehand who they were, and they were like following me. It was just like, I was like a kid, and I was just like,
Hell yeah.
it felt unbelievable. And yeah, so
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that, I think that pushed me too during to be able to do that prep and continue to actually do it and go as far as I did with it. Just because like it was like such a crazy new experience, such a crazy like time for me.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Were
it
you
was
on
like,
social media before like that whole because I'm assuming you blew up when you started working with 3DMJ and prepped, right? on
Yeah,
social media?
I was on Instagram a little bit, like right before then.
Yeah.
Yeah, like right, and that was early Instagram too, of course. But yeah, I was on there a little bit right before I started working with them. But then like when they started like posting me on their page, it was like I started getting all these people following me, and it was like
Yeah.
it was just like unbelievable at the time.
Hell
I,
yeah.
I really couldn't believe it, like
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like might not seem like a big deal now, but like at the time for me, the
No, I
position I was
know.
in, it was just like crazy, because I didn't have any expectations going into that, I didn't know what I was getting into
Yeah.
with the prep either, but yeah, and just seeing those changes week to week, and like I really didn't know, like, I guess maybe how much muscle I had. Because you have all that body fat on you, and obviously, you don't look as impressive when you have that body fat. But once you start losing that body fat, you actually look more impressive. And I didn't really understand that concept, I guess, at the time, because I used to just compare myself to these other guys on like YouTube and social
Yeah.
media, and
Yeah.
that were leaner.
Yeah.
And I guess I would look at myself and I was like a lot heavier and had a lot more body fat, so I didn't look as impressive.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I
Yeah.
wish I could look like that. But once I started obviously losing body fat, then it was like, dang, I can't believe I even look like this. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of crazy to even see that myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was like I was just like on a high during that prep, because it was like seeing those changes week to week. I had never seen any of that before, so it was super super cool. But obviously, it was crazy at the time. Like I was tracking macros, but I had never done that prior. So like I had never had really structured meals. And so like I was fitting all kinds of crazy stuff in my macros. I was doing that. Like I
With the
was in
trends,
college.
right?
I was in college too,
Uh,
and yeah, I
what college you
was
go to?
just a small local college, like
Okay.
20 minutes from my hometown.
Yeah.
And that for my freshman year. And yeah, so it was like almost like I was still in high school, because that little local college was like
Yeah. It was like
a
a
lot
community
of
college, or
people.
was it like a
Yeah,
university?
just like a community college kind of,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like a lot of the people from my high school were going there the
Mm-hmm.
freshman year too, so it was like almost felt like I was still in
Ah,
high school in a way. I was
yeah, I
around a
feel
lot of
you.
those same people, and I was
Uh-huh.
still living at home,
Yeah, yeah,
um, because it was only like 20 minutes away. But so yeah, it was crazy though, because I was fitting like ridiculous things, my macros, like
yeah.
McDonald's. I would fit like Big Macs in there, man. Like,
What? That's
but
crazy.
I was,
That's a
was
waste.
still like hitting my macros, or
Oh,
hitting my
during the prep.
macros during the prep. Like for the most of the prep.
From McDonald's.
Um, I was
McDonald's
fitting
during
like,
prep.
or like, I would be there, so long during the day before I would go back home, and so I didn't like have a meal prep, for example. And like if I was gonna stay later, I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go by the McDonald's. I can fit this in my macros. So I'll just eat that.
Yeah,
Or
Or
yeah.
beginning prep, right?
it was yeah, like initially it was at the start of the prep, and even later in the prep, man, I was fitting in some crazy stuff
That's crazy.
in my macros. Like I would make it fit, like
Yeah, yeah.
was it ideal? Definitely not ideal.
Nah, definitely not.
But I was fitting ridiculous things, and obviously that ended up kind of backfiring later in the prep, just because I would get to the point where I was fitting in like crazy stuff, or like I would start to have a craving, and I was like, oh well, I can
Yeah.
eat a little bit of this, so I would eat it, and then I was like, oh well, now you only have this many macros left,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're kind of screwed. But
That's
like
the
at the
hardest part about
time,
it.
I had never even dieted, like I said, or any of that. Like I never had been, I didn't like have a meal plan, I didn't have structure like that. So it was like going from where I was to this, this transition was pretty drastic at the time. So, but the funny thing was, I still got pretty lean, I still got
I mean, you followed the
pre-
macros. It was just
pretty
probably a
shredded.
little bit harder,
Yeah.
right? Like you were hungrier, maybe. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
More
yeah.
cravings, probably.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it was like 40, or right around 40 weeks. I
Oh
want to say the
shit, you
prep
were dieting for
was
40 weeks?
I ended up having to lose like I said, I went from 210 to 165. So
in 40 weeks. Just straight for diet breaks or
there was, I want to say, one or two diet breaks. You know, and we were doing refeed days as well. So typically I had like, you know, 2 refeed days a week for the most part.
yeah.
But yeah, that was a very interesting prep, man.
Yeah, man. 2018, Muscle Mayhem, Sacramento, California, bro. It's your first show, right?
Yeah, I had
And this is
never
your
been.
last show, like until this next coming Mayhem.
Yep.
Let's talk about that. You won first in the junior middleweights. You won first in the open middleweights, and then you didn't take the overall. What was that experience like? Let's talk about that.
Man, that was a crazy experience. I had never been to the West Coast. Yeah, never been over there. Never been to a show before. Bodybuilding show.
Oh
So it was
wow,
like
you didn't even
my
spectate. This was your first
no.
experience ever.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was my first time. It was cool because I was following Matt Ogus at the time, and
Oh, that's his show.
he had done that show, and so I actually knew about that show. And one of the reasons why I did that show is because like Jeff, my coach, he offered to let me stay at his house. You know, he lives close by the show, and so like me and my mom went out there. We he picked us up from the airport. We stayed at his place, and him and Alberto kind of chauffeured us around and all of that.
Yeah.
And just helped me have a great experience. You know what I mean? Being from a small town, didn't fly often or travel a lot, so it was a big deal for us. And so it was awesome, man. It was a great experience. And obviously, yeah, again, like I didn't really know what I was getting into, so you know, the posing, my posing was pretty rough, looking back at the time, but it was super fun, man. It was cool. Initially I was gonna do the teen class, but I was gonna be like the only teen
Oh yeah. No
there competing. So I ended up doing the junior and the open middleweight. And yeah, I ended up losing to Ace in the overall, Mr. Ace Baldwin.
Shout out Ace. Actually, I think he messaged us recently to jump on the pod. I think I'll get him on.
He'd be great, man. And that was super cool, man, because like I said, that was my first show and first bodybuilding show ever. And I remember seeing him backstage and just seeing him backstage, and like I already knew like he was unbelievably shredded.
Yeah.
And that was the first time like I'd seen something like that in person.
Yeah.
Like before we got on stage together and competed in the overall or anything like that. Like I remember just seeing him backstage. I was like, this dude's about to win. I could just tell. I was like, I had never seen that level of conditioning, like his glutes and everything. I was like, wow, this is crazy. So that was a cool experience, battling it out with him.
First show too, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a crazy
super fun. And that was a super epic experience, and like after that, I put on obviously like a crazy amount of weight. There was no reverse diets in place. That's for sure. But after that, it was like I just went back to school. I ended up transferring to a different college. So I was actually finally for the first time away from home, and I was still, training like the bodybuilder, and the goal was actually to win my pro card. That was like the goal after
that was the goal. That was the initial goal. Like when going into bodybuilding, you wanted that?
Not initially. But after I did that show, after I finally did my first show, it was like, dang, this is epic. Now, like the next goal was to like win my pro card. I came close my first ever show to doing that. Without that being the goal. But then after I did that show, it was like that was like the next goal is, to compete again and compete there again and win my pro card. That was the goal. And I ended up prepping in 2020, actually.
Yeah.
And that was going to be my second show, was to go back there and win the overall. That was the goal. And so that was a rough experience, man. I prepped in 2020 and I got really lean. And then,
pandemic.
we had the pandemic.
Oh,
I had some, school. I had different external stressors.
Yeah.
And I also had, developed like a binge eating disorder, man. And that really affected that prep as well. And then when the pandemic, with the shows getting pushed back, me having to go back from college to go back home, um, to finish up classes, it was just, there was a lot of different things occurring at the time. And like I said, I had that binge eating disorder,
Yeah,
which
what did that
got
come from, you feel like?
pretty bad. Well,
Because
I
I
think
remember around that
initially,
time you were like going through like a lot of mental stuff, and you kind of opened up about it on Instagram a little bit, and that's why I want to kind of touch on that, like the whole mental health issues, right, that come with all this stuff that can occur. Let's talk about that. What stuff were you going through, and then like what do you think like kind of like caused it?
well, yeah, like I had mentioned, I think, just my early years of lifting, I think I created like a bad relationship with food, like I said, with the force feeding, like a lot of people or nobody really on Instagram or anything knows how serious that was for me. But yeah, I developed like a pretty bad relationship with food, I think, just trying to gain weight throughout high school.
Yeah.
Like I said, with the force feeding, with the way I was eating, and it came into play some during that first prep. There were some times where I binged, and and obviously the way I was eating on prep was kind of weird, fitting crazy stuff in the macros, and I remember that first prep, like getting cravings, and then like eating something that I wasn't planning to eat, but it fit in my macros. I would make it fit, but then I would be forced to like have to eat way less the next meal or
Exactly.
something crazy like that. And those were things that happened like that first prep. And then of course there were a few times where I did end up binging, but it wasn't, I guess it didn't seem like it was as bad at the time, or I didn't know it was as big of an issue until like with 2020, with a lot of things happening, with me getting lean actually really a lot earlier too. um, I got like a lot leaner quicker in for the 2020 prep, and I was trying to like maintain that level of leanness for a longer period of time, and different stressors, and again, just not addressing that issue with food, because I think a lot of it again too was like how I was eating in the off season, was not great. I was still doing the force feeding thing and all that during the period of time from after my first show to up until when I did my second prep.
2020.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. I wasn't working with I wasn't working with Jeff like outside of the prep. It was only during like the prep, and so it was like once that first prep was over, I just went
Keep
back
going.
to eat. I ate whatever I wanted to eat. I gained
Yeah.
a ton of weight fast, and then just after that, I was back to eating the way I used to eat. Where I was just force feeding and not weighing out. I didn't track macros at all, and it was like a switch. Like when I did the prep, I started being super structured, but then outside of that, I was like just eating whatever, not weighing anything out, not paying attention to anything
Yeah.
like that. And I did that, up until that second prep too, where then once I started prepping, now I'm flipping that switch and I'm weighing out food again. I'm, eating things eating different foods, it's just, I think a lot of that played a role. And then of course, just like mentally too, I think that also played a role with where I was mentally and whatnot. But yeah, it just got really bad. And,
What do you mean
you know,
mentally? Where were you mentally?
well, I think just like mentally the way I viewed food too, or like if
Yeah.
I remember like with the binge eating thing, it was like one if I ate like one thing that was not planned, then all of a sudden it's like the day's screwed, so I might as well just eat whatever.
Oh, it was like that.
You know what I mean? Like one little thing off plan, all of a sudden like I just viewed it as like the whole day is ruined.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of mentality.
Wow, that's so crazy. Yeah, I hear that all the time though. That's like a common thing. That's
Yeah,
in bodybuilding. A lot of people have that issue. I hear it a lot. I've never experienced it myself. That's why I feel like it's interesting to talk about. It's important to talk about because we don't hear it. We hear it, but we don't go in depth into it
yeah.
so much. So
Oh
it's
yeah,
cool to hear
100%,
your
man.
story with that.
And so
Were you
that
working with
got,
Jeff at that time? But not in the
yeah,
off season. When you prep,
not in the off
you had
season, but yeah, even for the second for the
Okay.
second prep, I was working with him, you know,
He
and
was unaware of like all that was happening.
well, it
all that
got
happened?
worse, you know, and it got to a point where like it happened earlier on during this prep, you know, I was getting leaner earlier, and like it, you know, I remember binging earlier in the prep, and then, you know, like there were a few times like it happened, and I got to a point where like I was afraid to say anything, so like communication got bad. So like not mentioning that you binged, and
Mm,
then he's wondering why. Oh, you know, on his end he doesn't know that, so then he thinks, oh, we need to drop calories a bit, you know, because we're not losing or whatever. You know,
mm-hmm.
we're not losing weight, and then it's like a cycle, you know, it became something like that,
Absolutely.
and where the communication was off,
Right. Right.
because of me, you know, not communicating what was going on,
Mm-hmm.
and not really at the time understanding what was going on, you know, not knowing like I had like an issue there, like just really genuinely not knowing that. But yeah, you know, that really affected that prep. And then with the pandemic, and you know, for me, I was like in school doing an internship, doing all these other things on top of the prep at the time. And then like with my environment getting shifted, having to live at home, and not knowing if this show was going to happen, there was just a
Yeah.
combination of
Tough.
things. But
Yeah.
it was, yeah,
Rough
you
for
know,
you, man.
it was a really bad experience, man. And then yeah, you know, it finally got to the point where I realized like, you know, I'm not going to be able to do this. So I pulled the plug on the prep. And even a few weeks later, I reached back out to him and wanted to keep going. You know, I was stubborn. So I was trying to restart the prep. And then again, I got to a point where I was like, it's just not going to happen.
What do you mean restart the prep? Like you were mid-season, and then
Well, it
you were like, fuck it.
was it was closer to the show, and I finally got to the point where you know, I pulled the plug on the prep. So but then a few weeks later, I reached back out to him,
Ah, got
you
you.
know, with like a second attempt at it. So we tried to pick things back up, and I knew like it's not gonna happen. And so that was like one of the worst feelings, man. And then you know after that, yeah, you know I just did my own thing. You know, I was still training and everything. Like towards the end of 2020, and then like right around the end of 2020, I kind of stopped training seriously. You know, I got to a place where I wasn't even really enjoying bodybuilding or training. And yeah, I wasn't really taking things. I was trying to finish up school. You know, I was trying to finish up college, and you know, I almost like I stopped enjoying training for the first time ever. And yeah, I wasn't really training as consistently, and for the first time ever too. So that was a weird thing. And yeah, I was just, yeah, I got to this point where I thought I would never compete again, man. I thought I would never, be able to do it right because of that issue, you know, I had. And, you know, at the time, I hadn't addressed the issue. So I just thought, like, man, I can't do this. You know, I can't properly go through a contest prep. So maybe I just don't need to compete, you know. So I really got to a place where I literally thought I would never compete again.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, you know, like months passed, and eventually, like summer of 2021, I was thinking more about things, and I was like, man, am I really just gonna not do this thing? Like I realized like, you know, I got all this potential, man. Like I guess I had to take myself out of it to finally kind of look at it from like a more objective point of view. And I was like, dude, you got all this potential, and you're just gonna let it go to waste.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And you know, it was like,
We're all thinking.
um, also, you know, I was like, man, am I gonna regret not ever doing this again? You know what I mean? Like, am I gonna regret this? And I knew I
Yeah.
would. So I reached out to AJ just because, you know, we developed a relationship earlier on when I did my first prep. That's when we connected, and he had always supported me, and I started following him, and I really looked up to
He was
him.
one of the dudes that
Um,
reached out to you, I'm assuming, while you were
yeah,
like getting
yeah,
like a
when I
little bit of
did, uh,
exposure working with
yeah,
3DMJ.
yeah, he did, and I started following him, and I really looked up to him, and you know, I knew that if I was going to work with somebody else, it would be him. And so I just thought, you know, and I knew his approach was a bit different too, and I wanted to try out a different approach and learn more. And also at the time, like I said, I was coming from a place where I wasn't really even enjoying training and I wasn't training seriously, and I still wasn't planning to compete again, but I wanted to get back into training seriously and at least, and actually work with somebody like in a gaining phase because I had never done that before. I never had anybody take over my trading. Had
In the
always
off
done my own
season.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
always done my own thing. And so yeah, I just wanted to try a different approach and learn some different things. And I reached out to him, and he was willing to take me on, and make a spot for me. So it was like super cool. He was willing to do that, and so just kind of like that, we started just working together, and it wasn't ever, with the goal of competing. It wasn't initially ever that goal of me getting back on stage. It was just like I was in a bad place mentally, and I reached out to him, and
Yeah.
yeah, we started working together, and it was a slow process, man. I was actually detrained when we started working together. I was smaller. I need to at some point I'm gonna probably post some pictures of what I looked like right at the time when we started working together. But um yeah, so we started from the ground up, and different approach to training. Obviously with him, the higher intensity,
Oh yeah.
lower
Yeah.
volume
Yeah.
approach
Yeah.
was not something I had done before. Just being more accurate, being um more intentional with your training was something I had not done before. And so it was definitely different, man. And it took me a while, but yeah, slowly but surely I started gaining some momentum and started, gaining some enjoyment back to training. And yeah, it took a while, but yeah, we started working together summer of 2021, and slowly started, putting on weight, and bulking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the heaviest I got was, or the most I ate for sure was whenever it was like the
Wow. I want to
early
talk
part of
about this. I saw
2022,
your
man.
post the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a
Tell me.
picture of like the early 2022 gaining phase I had with him, and that
Yeah.
was the
Let's
most.
talk about that. I'm gonna.
Whew.
Ah, damn. I want to pull this up, but like, all right. From what I remember, because it was from the other day, you were having like 969 carbs, 289 protein, and like only 89 fat.
Yeah,
That's like over 5,000 calories, right? If I'm not mistaken.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. And that was,
Insane.
like I said,
Talk about that.
I came from this place where I wasn't tracking foods in the off season. Before I was force feeding, I was not eating like specific meals, structured meals. But when I started working with him, that was a big change. Is that when we were working together, even while I'm putting on weight, I'm still tracking my food. I'm eating set meals, structured meals. And that was something I had never done before. I was like even then, like I was eating over 5,000 calories, but I was still weighing out my carbs, my protein, I was still tracking all my macros.
Yeah,
um, that was the hardest gaining phase I've ever done. That was
I
the hardest
bet,
thing I've
bro.
ever done. Eating like 900 grams of carbs like that,
Hell
man.
yeah.
And
So what did
eating
a
it
day
like
look
from
like?
creamer rice, man, from oats.
Yeah.
Having these crazy shakes with like 150 grams of oats
Okay.
blended up, man. But like the creamer rice, man, I remember I got to the point with the creamer rice where I would blend up like half of it.
What do
Um,
you mean half of it? Half
it
of a bottle
so
or a
like
box?
maybe I had like 150 grams for a meal, or 200 grams for a meal. And so like I would have like half of it, I would blend it up and drink it. And then I would blend up the other half and drink it. And I would throw in like, Pop Tarts just to get extra carbs because like,
Got you. So you weren't. It
like
wasn't all like clean. Like it was.
for as clean as I could eat. But like, for example, like with that meal, maybe I was supposed to have a bagel or something, but like I got to
Right.
the point where I just couldn't eat the
Yeah.
bagel.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
couldn't eat that dry bagel.
Dude, we Dirk and I
So
talk about friggin' struggling eating, and Brian as well. We talk about struggling eating 3,500 calories. So 5,000
and it
is
was, I
insane,
was,
bro.
yeah, like at that time, man, I was getting up early, working at a warehouse. I was
Okay.
barely getting any sleep, man, because I would get up, have my meals and everything straight after work. I would like go to the gym, train for a couple hours, come back, eat that last meal, like stuff myself right before
Yeah.
bed, and then I'd get up in the morning and have to do it again.
So what did your day of eating look like? Did you have 1,000 calories, 5 meals a day or something, or is it like
I had 5 meals, and
1,000 calories
yeah,
each? That's insane.
so something like that. And I would have at that time I was eating like I had like one meal a week that was like a cheat meal or off plan meal, but other than that, I was tracking
Like, what's
everything.
a cheat meal look like for you? Like McDonald's, you're
It
saying,
might
like
have been like
pizza or something?
a pizza or
Oh,
something,
okay. Like a whole pizza, like a 8-slice pizza, like a Domino's.
whatever I could eat, it would be
Yeah,
like my
yeah,
last meal. So, for example, I'd eat my normal meals. First four meals would be like my typical meals, and like the last meal of that day,
yeah,
which usually was like on a Sunday, I would eat like
yeah,
something different.
yeah.
Um, but then the rest of the meals were like the same, and it was still like, yeah, I was still tracking everything.
How you feeling?
And it was horrible, man.
Yeah, because I know,
Just
like, when we were like force feeding 3,500 calories, Dirk, me, and Brian, we were like fucking feeling like shit.
oh, it was awful, dude. That was like probably worse than prep, man. I mean, like that was like the
Yeah,
hardest thing I had ever done was eating that many calories, and not just like one day, man. It's like every day you're eating like
every day, 4 or
900
5,000
nine.
calories, insane.
And the hard thing about it is when you're eating like cleaner,
Yeah,
like when you're only eating like 80 something grams of fat and the
yeah,
rest
that's
of
what I
it
was saying.
like
89
900
grams
grams
of
of
like,
carbs. It's not just me
right.
eating 5,000 calories. That's the one thing. But when you're eating it from those foods,
Yeah,
um, man, dude, it was it
you're like
was
literally
hard.
eating a
I
whole
don't know how
box
I
of
did it.
fucking cream of
Yeah.
rice per
I
meal.
don't know how I don't know how I did it looking back,
Insane.
man.
How was
Honestly,
training
but
when you were eating that much?
it was I mean, I was stronger, obviously. But
Did
it's
it
funny
feel
because
good?
at the time, obviously I was still trying to get back to actually I was trying to regain that passion for training. So, I was going in a lot of times though, I was still going to sessions and I was just training because it was like that's what I was doing. It wasn't like I was obsessed with my training or super excited to lift.
Mm.
Um, I was just going in and like I had this plan and I was just following it. And I had accountability there. With checking in with AJ every week, and that's one thing that helped me though at that time. And slowly I started seeing some progress and started to get more enjoyment out of my training. But obviously, strength was certainly improved whenever I was eating that much. But yeah, it was hard to yeah, I got to the point where like I wouldn't have enough time to for my food to digest before I would train. I remember like throwing up before
Yeah.
legs
What? You
because
were throwing up
like
what?
not every day, but I remember like one infamous session where I was at my
Like,
friend I have a friend who had like his own home gym set up. So
yeah,
I would go there and like he had some good Cybex equipment, for
yeah.
like legs and whatnot. But like I remember like just being out there and like getting off that Cybex leg press and then just stepping out,
Puking.
throwing up, man. Cause like,
Damn.
I was
Because you're
eating so
so
much like
full.
I didn't have like I didn't have enough time. My food didn't have enough time to digest. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it was it
yeah.
was a crazy push.
Damn, bro.
But so yeah, it was like my whole approach to eating would change, It was so much more structured and I had set meals. This is how much you're eating for this meal, then next meal. And that was a game changer, man. That was a game changer going into like actually doing a contest prep, But initially at the time, like I said, it wasn't like the plan to even do a prep, but we started seeing more results. I did like a mini cut at some point in 2022. And then we got back to pushing up. And then at the end of 2022, that's like when we decided like, let's go for this thing. Um, and yeah, I did. I cut down a little bit. From I got that second gaining phase, like the end of 2022, I only got to around 200, so I didn't get up quite as
Only.
heavy. And at that time, my approach was a little different. I got to the point where I was trying my best to push the weight up, my body weight up. So like that last meal was free for all. I was eating like anything just to get calories in.
Okay, so your
So
fats went over
so
90.
at
So
that point, yeah, like my second go around there, after I did my mini cut, I started pushing them back up, and that second time I got up to around close to 200. Like my last meal, I would go to Chick-fil-A, man. I'd get like 2,000 calories worth of food
Chick-fil-A is
from
fire though. Chick-fil-A is
Chick-fil-A.
a good dieting. Like even
But it
now, like
wasn't.
I could go to Chick-fil-A,
Oh
get those
yeah,
grilled nuggets, bro.
man, at that time for me at least, when I'm like that
With a chicken
heavy,
sandwich.
it wasn't something to look forward to. You know,
Oh
it was
yeah,
like I didn't
yeah.
want to eat.
Yeah, I was
I
about to
didn't want
say
to.
you probably didn't want to eat. Yeah, let me ask you this: what was the goal with all that? Because like, was your goal to hit 200? Is that why you were eating 5,000 calories?
Really just to push my body weight as much as I could.
As much as you could.
Really,
So,
really as heavy as we could get me.
so why 5,000
Was the
calories?
goal.
Like what is it like? Do you have like a certain rate of gain? Is that and 5,000 calories was?
That's just, I mean, that's how many calories I needed
Oh, okay.
to
For
to
what?
to,
To
push
gain
up.
like a certain amount
Like
a week or something?
if I'm gonna get to 200 pounds, I
Yeah.
gotta eat at least 5,000 calories.
Right. Was there a
You
certain
know,
rate of gain though, like every week you were doing, or you just like slamming food pretty much and
not
just trying to get
it.
as much as you can?
Well, now that was only towards the end. I mean, like for me getting to like the 180s, 190s, I wasn't having to do it that much, but it's more so like from 190 to 200.
Got you.
For
Yeah, yeah,
me,
yeah.
from like maybe 190 to 200, it got to that point. I wasn't eating like
Ah,
Chick-fil-A all the
yeah,
whole time, but it was
yeah.
like towards the end. You know what I mean? Like
Got you. Yeah,
when
yeah,
when like I had no appetite, that's when
yeah,
we resorted to those tactics.
got you.
But yeah, for the most part, it wasn't like I was gaining like a ton of weight each week,
Mhm.
But really, the whole point was just to spend as much time as I could in a gaining phase.
Yeah. How long did
You
that
know,
last? How many months or that gaining phase?
so honestly, I would have to look back. I'm not sure exactly
Was it over a
how
year?
long the initial one. I mean, we started summer 2021, and then it was like 2020 later. It was like the earlier 2022 is when I finally did a mini cut.
Okay, okay.
Um, and then it was like maybe a 6 week mini cut, and then we went back to gaining for the rest of 2022,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And then like the end of 2022 in November is when I did a little pre-prep diet, got in the 180s, sat there for a bit, and then went from like the mid 180s to now the low 170s. And that's where I am right now.
Yeah, yeah. And we're going into the Mayhem, man, in a few weeks. And that's where you're at right now.
Yep, that's crazy,
Amazing, bro.
man.
You're looking sick too. It's crazy. I'm excited. I keep telling Brian because Brian's gonna be there. You'll see him. I might fly out for that just to spectate. We'll see.
Yeah,
In a couple weeks.
you should do it, man.
You might see me out there.
Motivation.
Film some cool content. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. If I can get a cheap flight, I'll definitely go out there. I don't know how flights are looking. I gotta start looking, but because it's coming up soon. Did you buy all your stuff for it already? Like you're booked?
Yeah, I'm good to go, man. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. AJ's going out there too.
Oh, is
So
it? Yeah, this is the iconic fuck. Dude, I wanted to do the like, because that's why you fucking flew out the first time in 2018. This is an iconic show. Like all the people we watch, like Matt Ogus, Jeff Nippard, Chris Elkett, everyone do that show. 3DMJ does that, everyone does that show. So last time we competed, I wanted to do it in 2021, but they kind of canceled it because of COVID. I think they couldn't like book that venue in Sacramento, so they like combined it with a Battle of the Bay. So that's what we ended up doing. But yeah, that's why I want to go too. So and the only reason why I couldn't do it is just because it's so early, and I want to do Worlds. So it's like such a big gap from July to November. It's like it's gonna be tough to hold. So, but yeah, maybe I'll pop out. It'll be fun. I know a lot of people will be there. Maybe Matt will be there.
he might be there. He might be in it.
You might compete,
he
right?
might be in it.
There's no, yeah, there
He's
are
looking
some
crazy, man. He's always.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth. So I'm trying to get him to do it. Because I actually got to meet him there back in 2018. That was an epic thing too. Is I didn't know he was going to be at the show, and he was a spectator.
Hell yeah.
And so like I got to actually meet him, and that was a fanboy moment for me. At that time. But yeah, he's talked about maybe doing it this year. He's getting lean, so it might have to happen. 2013 to 2023, that'll be a 10-year anniversary for him. He did that show back then. So
Do you know the roster right now? Like, do you know who you're going up against at the Mayhem?
I don't know.
No one's posting on social media talking about.
I know
4 or 5
Ace
weeks out.
Ace is doing the pro.
Oh yeah, Ace.
Um,
I gotta get him on soon.
yeah.
Before the Mayhem.
Mhm.
But
But I have, I have no idea, man. I'm just focused on being the best I can be there.
yeah,
So
and also what I hear, 3DMJ, that's like their meetup competition every year. So, because I'm Nick the PT, he's my
yeah.
neighbor.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, he lives like 2 houses down, and ironically, we went to the same high school, but he's like way older than me, or a little bit older than me. So, but yeah, he tells me that the Mayhem is like where they meet up. So it's a big meeting spot. So maybe I gotta pop out.
You gotta come
go.
down.
Yeah, yeah. And to see you in person, that'd be cool. What is your schedule this season though? Is it just the Mayhem? I've been asking you this for like a few months. But I know
It
you're
might
kinda unsure.
may or may not be. It really, we're just going by how the mayhem goes. It just depends on how this show goes. Me and AJ will, you know, come up with a game plan. Initially I thought it'd be sick to do worlds. But again, even like
Please,
you
bro.
mentioned, going from the mayhem to worlds, man. I don't
No
think
way.
that's gonna be a move. Is it doable? I mean, it's doable. But if I'm being realistic, it's probably not gonna happen for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless somehow I'm just in a great place to where I could do that. But um, yeah, I don't know. It depends on how this show goes, man. This initially, I mean, this was the plan. Is just this
One
show.
and done.
But you know,
We'll
we'll
see.
see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yo, I gotta
And
tell you, Worlds is like one of the greatest experience. Like, this is how we started the podcast. Like, this is how we connected. It's crazy. It's one of the yeah. You definitely have to do it 1 year.
yeah, that's definitely a goal.
Yeah, amazing. We were in
Yeah, I definitely
Vegas
want to
too. It was
experience
lit. Oh
that.
man,
Oh, that's gotta be crazy,
it was
man.
lit. Yeah. I think next year's gonna be in Boston. I don't know if you're trying to compete next year, but
Oh, in Boston. Damn.
yeah, that's what I think. I just watched one of the Leroy's podcasts with Bob and Tina, and they were talking about I think next year's gonna be in Boston. So it's
Boston is nearby you, right?
yeah, East Coast. So
East
it's
Coast.
by
Oh,
us. I don't know, Josh, if you're trying to compete next year again. What are your plans? Like, do you have any plans? You're just kind of going with the flow, like Mayhem, and then just whatever like happens, like straight to off season,
Man,
or do a pro show or what?
yeah, well, we'll see. Like the plan tentatively would be, if I won my pro card here, do a pro show, shortly afterwards.
High chance.
We talked about, again, worlds, but then I don't know if that's
Oh,
gonna happen,
so, yeah.
mayhem to worlds. But yeah, that's tentatively a plan, do a pro show afterwards. And if I did, it probably would just be that,
Yeah.
yeah,
What pro shows
maybe.
are there afterward? Because
Man,
all
I
the
was
ones
just
I
looking at
remember,
them.
they're all after September.
Yeah, I was just looking at
At
them,
least
man.
in
I
the East
know
Coast too. Like there's
there
Monster
is
Mash, there's
there's
the
one in
Pro
New York. What
Universe.
is it? The Pro Universe in
Yeah,
New
that's the one
York.
I'm trying to do. That's probably the one I'm opening up with. Cause same deal with you. Like my first show in 2012 was at the Universe, so
Hmm.
it would be cool to do.
Yeah, I thought about. I looked at that when I saw that one. But I don't know, man. And it's like we'll see how this goes, and just talk
Yeah,
over things, go from there. But
yeah,
if
man.
not, enter a gaining phase afterwards. We'll see. But this is the focus right now, man. This
For
is
sure,
this is
bro.
this is the
High
goal right
chances
now.
that you're
So
gonna take this, bro. Unless some random Hendo will come in or something.
yeah,
Speaking of
well,
Kendall, he competed at your show in 2018, right? In the pro show, yeah. Kendall
yeah,
and Bada competed at that show, so that was cool to
yeah.
see. Like for on your end,
Yeah. I hate it. I never
stacked,
actually
bro.
got to talk to him in person because I
Who
think
Kendall
I
or
was,
Bada?
well, neither of them. The pro show, they were when they were on. Like we weren't. I wasn't able to watch it while they
Mm,
were actually on stage, so I didn't actually get to meet him, unfortunately, there.
yeah,
But it's cool to see what he's doing now, in the IFBB, man. See him killing it, against those
hell yeah,
guys.
bro. Kendall's a
Um,
real good dude, man. I got to chop it up with him. in real life and DMs. Yeah, he's a good dude, bro.
Yeah,
We'll show
yeah,
him
it's
some
cool.
pictures.
It's inspiring to see, natural bodybuilders,
Oh yeah,
still kill it against some of those enhanced guys,
yeah, man.
and I might mess around one day and see
That's
what I
my
can do
next
against some
question.
of them.
Yeah, that
But
was my next question. Do you feel like you just want to stay with WNBF or IMBF, or do you want to try
I
like going
mean,
for that NPC or other natty federations? There's so many freaking.
yeah,
There's Mr. America in the East Coast, bro. You should do that one. That one's real
it,
good. The location, I've been telling Dirk, the location's real good. It's in Atlantic City. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. That's like our big casino area in New Jersey.
okay,
The location's real nice. The guy is right in my town. The guy that runs it, I think his name's Mark. And yeah, he does a good job. A lot of people, a lot of good competition. Good stage, good lighting, good pictures. So that's definitely
yeah.
something in the future to look
I'm
into.
I'm not opposed to competing somewhere else, man. Like the classic physique thing would be pretty cool. The NPC classic physique would be
Hell
cool,
yeah.
just
Hell
just
yeah.
for fun.
Oh, you do classic? Yeah.
Well, yeah, if I'm gonna compete
Yeah.
on that side
Yeah.
against those guys, it'd be cool to see what happens against enhanced guys.
Nah,
But
you could
first
definitely do
first
some
and
damage
foremost,
there,
I'm
bro.
just here to prove I can do something against the natty competitors,
Yeah.
my fellow natties. So
Yeah.
because if I can't do that, then there's no point. I got to prove myself here. If I can,
For sure, for sure.
do
I
something
mean, there's a
here,
lot of
then
good
we'll
natural
go from
bodybuilders,
there.
bro. You're up there too.
There's unbelievable people,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
people just don't know. We're not like that's why we kind of wanted to do the podcast and all this content just to kind of spread more
yeah,
awareness. We got some and like the best we talk about this all the time, like some of the best natty bodybuilders, they don't even go on social media. So you'll never see them. You know what I mean? You'll never really hear from them. So
yeah, and you never know. One of them might show up to the mayhem and just smoke us off. Um, But
you're coming
that's
ready
what's
though.
cool. But that's what's cool about it too, though. I love seeing that. Just there's people you've never heard of that are like. I remember like I don't know if you heard of Martin Daniels.
Yeah, I know
Martin
Martin.
Daniels,
Yeah.
was a really amazing natural bodybuilder, and
Yep,
I
yep.
actually met him. He competed. I forget the name of the show. It was in Savannah. Not the Lee Haney. I- Wings of Strength, I think it was.
NPC
He
show?
had, yeah, he was in classic physique. I don't know now if he's gone to the other side or not, but he was competing in classic, and he does classic physique now there. And I got to meet him and see him. It was just cool because, I'm sure most of those people had no clue that he was, this WNBF pro back in the day. But since I followed those guys, it was cool to see that.
Oh yeah.
Like just going back to the fact that like a lot of these guys people don't really know. A lot of these crazy natural bodybuilders like people haven't heard of, and it's kind of unfortunate. It's like, man, this guys like Doug Miller. People don't even know
Dude,
who he is. It's like,
I'm
man,
saying. I mean,
that's the man,
we do,
right?
but like if you're like not into natural bodybuilding or just even bodybuilding in general, you wouldn't even know he's like out of the scene now. He's not competing. We got to
Right.
see Brian Whitaker at Worlds, our last Worlds, but
Oh,
Oh,
he,
yeah.
but
yeah, that was
I,
from
di-
a
I
while
didn't know
back.
what happened with that. I never knew what.
So I think,
I didn't really hear
I don't
much.
know if he was really, he's not on another one, not on great fucking top level physique, right? But doesn't post on social, doesn't even have social media, I don't think.
Mm.
And I don't know what he came in a little bit not like his normal self.
Hmm.
He came in fucking good, but you know his level is like,
Yeah.
he just was. I think he was like lacking a little bit of conditioning. I don't remember. You remember Dirk?
I
I
don't know
remember
anymore.
seeing
I
him.
think the conditioning was a
Brian,
little lacking.
was that
I think the conditioning. I think
the
he played
conditioning, right? Yeah,
or
from what I
something.
remember.
So,
But he still looked great
yeah,
out there, bro, with
of
everyone
course.
else.
But also the level is rising, so
Yeah,
you
yeah,
need to
yeah,
be on
yeah. I think
your
Brian got
on
to
your
beat him.
shit too. Yeah,
He's very
especially
low
with
key though. Like even
very
like
lucky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
even just
Yeah.
walking around, like I didn't even know he was there until like
he's
I was
very
watching
like very
the
quiet. Like he just
yeah.
sat there by himself, not
Yep,
even
sat
like
there by
with his
himself,
friend
hoodie.
family or something.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you don't know it, you don't know him, you probably wouldn't even like You know, there's so many people you wouldn't even see it, that you wouldn't even know is him. And then when the lightweight pro division came out, I'm like, oh shit, it's him.
Yeah, I was also like, what the fuck?
Yeah, because we got to watch. We were in the amateurs, and we got to watch the pro show before, and yeah, it was amazing.
That's sick.
It was cool, man. All right, let's get into these random questions. So we have fan questions, and I have a bunch of random questions. So I guess we'll go to the random questions first, and then I know Dirk, you got a few questions from your we posted on Instagram from
yes,
fans, and I got a few. We got a few from the Natty Boys podcast page and my page, and then Dirk's page. So, and I don't know if you got any, but yeah. All right, random questions. All right, this one's pretty cool. This is gonna kind of be off topic. I know you finally we have someone on that could talk kicks, because I know you. I see we kind of you kind of you kind of got like little slight drip when you go to the gym. So like, what is your favorite pair of kicks?
Oh man, favorite?
Yeah, like what is your grail?
I mean, I don't have any grails right now. I don't have the.
Just
there's
like
there's so many
grail?
there's so many I would love to have, but
yeah.
My favorite I have are the Cement 3s. Those are ones I really wanted. So those are ones I really just the Black Cement 3s, the 2018 release.
That's what you have. You have that.
Yeah, I got those.
Yeah.
But man,
So you have
threes
your
are
grails.
threes are some of my favorite Jordans. 11s, I would say 3s, 11s, 4s. Probably like my favorite silhouette, and 1s. Those are probably my favorite silhouettes.
Yeah, I see you wear the Gatorades.
The Gatorades.
Yeah, I had the lemon lime ones, but I sold them.
Oh yeah.
The yellow ones. They're crazy. The colors, all the colors that came out purple.
Yeah.
You have purple,
Yeah.
right? Purple.
Yeah,
blue,
I got the purple one.
Yeah. Red.
Crazy colors. I want to get the Dunks, man. Dunks just crazy expensive now.
Yeah, I know. Resale prices are expensive if you get it for retail. What got you into kicks? Like are you into like urban streetwear, or like just in general, like, or just shoes?
Well, mostly shoes, man. I don't know. I guess being like it was probably like in high school or so when I got more into sneakers. But yeah, just I don't know. I got the Jordans specifically, I guess, and
What
I remember just like wishing, because like I guess maybe at the time I couldn't get them myself, so it was more like wishing I could have them, and so like whenever I got to the point where I could, afford a pair or something, like
right.
like I would want to get them. But yeah, just like clothes, shoes,
yeah. Growing
stuff like
up,
that.
were you in like a culture where like everyone was like dressing good, like, you know what I mean, cared about how they dressed, or like you were?
I wouldn't say that.
So how did you get into all that?
But I guess, I mean, probably part of it was too, like, just following more, hip hop, getting more into hip hop, things like that, and that culture, it's like all kind of intertwined. So maybe that was part of the influence too. But yeah,
you didn't have friends that were like dressing up, you know what I mean, like having nice kicks and.
Not a ton, not at least not a lot of the guys I hung out with, but I guess I just thought that was, I like the way certain rappers and stuff. I like, I started following different rappers or whatever, getting into, rap music, and
so
then
a lot of social media.
I started, I was like, dang, I think those are sick, and got more into the sneakers from there. And then there's so many shoes I wish I could get. One day I want to.
Tough. Yeah, it's tough.
I want
what
to,
is your like? What is a shoe that you wish you could get? Like, what's a grail shoe for you?
Dang.
Like, if you had to get one shoe, you can get it for free right now. What would it be? Because as you can see, you can see all my shit back here. I've been into shoes since I was like young. So like, and nowadays I like kind of, there's a resale market. So I'm like, I've been doing that for like extra cash on like, on the side for years. So, and then that's how I kind of connected with you on Instagram, because I saw you wearing Black Cement 3s. I'm like, oh shit, I'm wearing them today too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like my bad. It's like a huge roach I just saw. That's why I'm over here looking.
What? Where are you at, bro?
I guess my room is dirty, man. It's prep line.
You got roaches in your house?
Came out of nowhere.
Humble beginnings. I feel
just trying to distract the prep right now. But no, yeah, I would say Man, I don't know. I would love to get the bread 11s or the gamma 11s.
Really? The bread 11s?
I wouldn't say that. I don't know if they're my favorite, but I always loved 11s and like the breads. And then the gammas. But honestly, right now, man, some of those off whites would be sick to get. Like they're
What
just
size are
off white
you?
ones. I'm a size 10.
Oh shit.
Off white ones, the Prestos, the Air Forces.
Okay.
Be pretty sick. But
Yeah.
I'm not balling out.
Hell no. Unless you get it for retail, and the retail is still expensive, so I
Yeah.
know how it is. All right, favorite food. What is your go-to meal right now?
Right now?
Yeah, like prep food. Like, oh well, you eat the same shit every day, right?
And then the oats, protein oats are
Protein and oats.
that's the best thing I've had. That's the best thing I'm eating right now,
So
man.
crazy.
I got
What
this
about
I
off
got
prep?
this I got this blueberry isolate, man. Blueberry muffin weight isolate, man.
From what brand? What brand?
NutriBio.
Okay, I may have to try that because I've been having
It's amazing, man.
I've been having trouble for like
Right
finding
now.
like good tasting whey protein.
But NutriBio makes a great. Well, I'm prepping, so you might not
Shout out
want to trust
NutriBio.
might not want to trust my judgment, but man,
Sponsors Josh.
that's my favorite isolate
But
right
you're
now,
not
man.
sponsored by anyone, right?
No.
Okay.
Free
Hey,
agent.
NutriBio.
Yeah, no, it's
Josh loves it.
digest well. It's great. But yeah, that's my go-to right now, man. The oats, the protein
What about like
oats.
when you're not dieting? What's like your favorite food to eat?
Man, I'm still eating mostly the same food.
Nah, for real. If you had to choose,
But
you just
if
eat
I
the
could if
same
I could
shit.
no if I could choose, I mean, I'm pretty basic, man. Just like something like pizza
Yeah,
or
okay.
a
Like what kind of pizza?
burger.
What kind of pizza? What's the go-to pizza or go-to burger?
Honestly, man, I like just any like with a lot of meat on there, man. Protein, man.
Pause.
Protein, yeah, protein. We'll reword it. But yeah, anything like that, man. But I'm pretty boring with it. Like, there's no
I feel
specific
you. You
one
live
food
this
like I have to
lifestyle.
have. I mean, I like sushi. I like burgers. I like pizza, sweets. I mean, I like all that.
Yeah. All right. What is your biggest regret? Anything. It could be anything. If you want to relate it to bodybuilding, you can. You have any regrets
Dang,
in
man.
life? Now I
Going
got you
deep.
thinking, huh?
I mean, I can't think of like a huge regret, honestly.
All right. What about for bodybuilding? You have anything that you wish you could have done differently?
With bodybuilding, I mean, honestly, man,
Or training? Or do you
like,
feel like everything's a lesson? It's like,
it's like I'm in this position now where, I wouldn't be in this position if certain things had not have
feel you.
happened,
Yeah.
That's the thing now to look back like on the 2020 prep, if that hadn't have happened in 2020, then I might not be in this position now.
Exactly.
And then like I even look at things like in 2018, like if I had have won, what if I had won my pro card that first time I ever competed? I don't know if that would have been a good thing or not, So like I feel like everything led to this moment, and
Okay. That's fair.
I don't have any crazy regrets, man.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Okay. Top 5 bodybuilders. Natural.
Let me think. Dang. I don't
5.
man, I hate
But it could be your
you
favorite.
only
You could
pick
be
5,
biased. It's
but
fine.
I'll
It's
pick
fine.
5 of my favorite. Let's put it that way. Doug Miller's got to be up there. Doug Miller for sure.
I'm with you on that one.
Well, and right now Mishak. Mishak. I love his physique. He's probably my favorite.
We don't even talk about Mishak or Bada like that. It's crazy. But
Mishak is probably my favorite current natural physique.
Have you seen him in person?
I have not.
I would love to, but I have not either.
I'm just a big fan of his physique, man. So those two guys for sure. Dang, let me think of who else.
Three more we could put in that category. Top 5.
Top 5, and that's hard, man. I mean, there's certain guys right now that I'm a fan of following, like Kendall, and like
the
the guy on Instagram, Iron Lord.
Mackie.
Doreen Mackie. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his physique.
Okay.
So there are a
One more.
few guys.
Let's throw
One
one more
guy,
in there.
and I mean, there's guys like I said, like Martin Daniels. I used to love. I mean, I'm a fan of his physique back when he was competing. Guys like Cleveland Thomas. I mean, I can
Okay.
name
Okay.
a
We'll leave
lot
it
of
at
different
5. We'll leave it
people,
at
but
5.
those are a few. Yeah.
All right. Last one. You ever thought about jumping on gear at all ever?
I can't say I ever have, man. I feel like a lot of people say that everybody has thought of that at one point, but honestly, I
No.
never
Never had an
like
instance
even
where you
when
couldn't
when
even
I
close.
started lifting, when I started training, it was just to put on muscle, and then shortly after that, I got more into bodybuilding, but it was actually started following mostly natural bodybuilders when I started following bodybuilding, which is kind of unusual perhaps. But like when I first started out, I wasn't following like a lot of enhanced bodybuilders. And even it's funny because now I probably follow more enhanced than I used to. Like I'm a bigger fan of a lot of the enhanced guys now than I used to. Like now I look up to a lot of them more than I do a lot of natural bodybuilders
Really?
in a lot of ways.
Like who? Who do you who in the enhanced circuit do you look up to?
Well, I love follow. I mean, like I love following guys like Nick, guys like Brett
Nick Walker?
Wilkin. Yeah, guys like him. I love following. I mean, like people like Ian. Obviously like Samson, Sean Clarita, number one though.
Sean Clarita.
Sean
Bro,
Clarita
he used to go to I
for
used to go to his
sure.
gym, right? He used to live in
Oh,
my town, I think.
oh, dang, that's
But
sick.
I think he moved to Texas. So I was
Yeah,
seeing him like every
he
day.
did.
Dude is crazy.
He's my favorite current bodybuilder,
Oh man.
Sean Clarita,
Yeah.
for
There's like a
sure.
mural of him
Yeah,
fucking flexing in our gym. In the front of the gym, there's like his picture and shit. Home of the giant killer or whatever. It's crazy.
yeah.
But he moved
That,
recently to Texas.
that's sick. But yeah, he's
For
my
sure.
current
Me
favorite,
too.
man. Just
Yeah, he's up
physique,
there
but
with me too,
also
for
the way
sure.
he trains, and
Yeah.
he used to compete in the WNBF, It's
Yeah,
pretty cool
exactly,
too. So,
exactly, man.
the history there right now.
For
Yeah,
sure,
like
bro. And when he trains, bro, oh my god, this guy's a fucking animal, bro.
he's strong, man. It's crazy for him
Dude, what? What? Crazy. Crazy.
at that body weight too, and just to see him compete
Yeah.
against the open
Just
guys
to see
too.
that shit.
That was epic, like in the Arnold to have
Oh
him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, when he competed in the open, he won again. Yeah, that was
He's standing
insane.
beside Big Grammy.
Insane, bro. He looked
So,
insane.
yeah,
And like
it's
when I
just
see him at the gym, he's always covered up. You would never even know. And
yeah.
he's short as hell. Like I want to say
But
like
yeah, you just see
5'4" or
him
something.
lifting like this crazy weight, like
Yeah, yeah.
just
And just like
throwing
going
up
at
the
it.
150s
Yeah,
on
yeah,
incline. Like it's
yeah,
ridiculous to see that.
yeah.
It's so cool. And so
Crazy.
yeah, guys like him, man, I love
Okay, okay.
his training. And of course, I like to follow guys like Jordan Peters now too, which I mean he's
Mm,
not really necessarily competing, but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he might. But yeah, people like that is
Okay.
cool. Just the mentality.
Yeah. All right, one more. We because it popped up in my head because we talked a little bit about hip hop, and I like that's like my favorite genre of music. What is your top 5 artists?
Oh dang. I hate the top fives, man. Hate the top fives. Are you talking about just artists in general, or like
Yeah,
rap or hip
well,
hop?
let's talk hip hop. So
Are we talking about R&B? Are we talking
yeah,
about
nah, let's talk about hip.
specifically hip hop?
Let's keep it hip hop since you kind of like we
Um,
talked about that.
oh man, that's hard. I mean,
Or
Drake
actually,
is.
fuck it.
I gotta put Drake on there.
Drake. All right, yeah,
I
Drake.
gotta put Drake on there. Well,
Drake.
I've been listening. He's
It could
probably
be
been
R&B.
like
It could be any artist. It doesn't have to
my
be.
most my
I want to
most
know what you
listen
listen to, pretty much.
my most listened to artist of this prep has definitely been Drake.
Drake. Okay. It could be R&B too. It could be country. I don't know what else
But
you listen to.
but honestly, I listen to a lot of R&B too. Guys like Jacquees, guys like
Hell yeah.
Brent Faiyaz,
Hell yeah.
favorite
Hell
right
yeah.
now. I listen to a lot of R&B like
Hell yeah.
Giveon, guys like that.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
You got to listen to Seti Hendrix. That's what I started
that,
listening to
oh
recently. He's a
really?
New York artist. He's
Yeah,
new.
I've
He's
heard of
new.
him. I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if you like that type of, but I like that. I listen to that a lot now.
But yeah, I've been. Dang, who else? I'm trying to think of good people
Let's
right
get
now.
2 more. Let's get 2 more.
Moneybag is good. I
Money
mean,
Bag. Okay.
no, one guy I feel like is underrated is No Cap.
Oh, but yeah, yeah.
No Cap.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
really
Nobody really puts.
talks about
Not
him.
really that mainstream.
he's got crazy wordplay, man.
Yeah.
Underrated.
I haven't dabbled. I can't say I
But my
dabbled.
favorite person right now is Friday. Yeah, the artist Friday.
Oh,
I think
okay.
he's like the best, one of the best in the game right now.
Yeah. Because I listen, like when I see your posts, I see like the type of music you post. I'm like, all right, this guy got a little.
I'll
He's
listen to all
cultured.
kinds of stuff.
He's cultured. You put NBA YoungBoy and all that.
But Friday, dude, that guy is.
Okay.
I mean, I guess he's maybe more R&B, not necessarily rap, but
Yeah. No, that's
dude,
fire. Yeah, I like
he's
Friday.
blowing up, man.
Yeah. All right, Dirk, you got your we're ending. We're coming to the end. We're gonna do the fan questions, and then we'll end it there. I think we covered a lot.
Yeah, a lot, definitely.
But yeah, what questions did you get? Is this from
What's
your
the
page or
hardest
from the Natty Boys?
for my page right now? What's the hardest part of this prep so far, if any?
Hardest part. Man, I think probably just the lower energy levels. Honestly, I feel like that's probably the hardest.
When did that hit you, by the way? Like, when would you say like you? It was like, wow, all right.
Well,
Now
I think for me, I really started feeling things once I got below 180.
when was that?
Sub 180, which, honestly, I'm not sure exactly how many weeks out that was, but once I got to around, maybe it was around 12 weeks out or something,
Yeah.
or maybe 11. But once I got below 180 is when I started noticing that. But like the energy level is probably the biggest thing. Been the hardest part of this prep, man. It's just like
how bad is it? Like, you better pass out? You getting out of bed, better pass out?
not, I wouldn't say pass out, but just like, man, like movement is slow.
Oh yeah.
Walk, like just
Getting to the
not
gym
wanting
is
to
tough.
get up, not wanting to get up to do anything, man. Like,
Yeah.
getting those, or after getting my steps in for the day, and then just like not wanting to move, man.
Yeah.
Not wanting to move any more than I have to, and then even like going into like some of the training sessions, like with that low energy, that was, yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the more challenging things, like some of the sessions going in, just like feeling like a zombie, man. Like trying to get things going, and just, yeah, that's been one of the harder, that's probably been the hardest thing, man, to be honest. And just, mentally, obviously dealing with like losing strength, um, it can kind of throw you off mentally, knowing, I'm not lifting some of the same loads I was previously,
How much strength did you lost during the prep compared to the beginning?
Well, for me, the biggest thing that took a toll is my pressing strength for sure. That's been the most depressing aspect of it, man, is just seeing my pressing strength plummet, man.
What was it, and what is it now? Like, what is like?
Well, just even like for like like dumbbell incline, the 120s, like now it's just
Not there.
not moving. Or even like, for one thing, for me right now, for upper bodies, in the seal row. The seal row, man. I was moving 315
Damn.
for like, I mean, that was obviously very hard, but
Yeah, but you
like
could
I
still
was
do it.
moving that, and then now like 2 plates on there, or 225. 225 was like,
Damn, that's a big drop off. Yeah.
super, feels similar. But
From the beginning of prep till
our
now.
yeah, or like when I was 200 pounds, I was 225 was just like 25, or 275 was easy, man.
Yeah.
And now 225 is feeling hard. And then like RDLs, man, I was moving 6 plates. And then now,
damn.
and now 5 plates is like,
that's not bad,
yeah,
bro.
that's
Just one plate.
No, but I've actually,
90 pounds?
well, I was doing 5 plates, and now I'm at 455. I'm not
Okay.
going. 455 is hard.
How do you deal with that, by the way? Like mentally,
Hard.
when do you know to just like, you don't got it?
I just, Well, I guess, during the prep, I just had to eventually get to a place where I kind of just detached myself from the load. And sometimes you get too attached to it too.
No, for sure.
And so you can't keep that emotional attachment. Now I became detached with just, the loading, and it's more so like just executing, like, let me get the most out of this set. And sometimes getting the most out of the set means I need to do less load so that I can actually keep form locked in.
For sure. For
And
sure.
still, like right now, the Romanian deadlifts, if I'm trying to do 5 plates, I'm basically going to be doing a Dorian style deadlift. I'm not going to be doing a real Romanian deadlift at that point. So I'm getting less out of it. So it's more so like focusing more on the execution. Like, let me just get the most out of each set. For example, for the RDL, let me get the most out of this set of the RDLs. That might mean I need to do less load.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
I'm getting more out of this set, then that it's worth it. I got more out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
1000%.
just kind of focusing more on that. And yeah, like in the off season, it was more so like I want to see progressions. But now I've, kind of got to a point where I accept the fact that, like, load's gonna drop um on some of these movements, but I'm viewing it more as like a sign that I'm getting leaner. Like if I have, you know, like for my pressing, I know I'm getting leaner when my pressing starts to drop. Like I know my back has less fat on it. I know that my glutes have less body fat on it. Um, and that's just part of it. But it's more so also looking at like relative strength, or like, am I pound for pound the strongest I've been? If I am, that's a good sign. Like I never have moved, like for example, the Romanian deadlifts. I've never moved 455 at 170 in the 170s like I am right now. I've
Yeah. You're
never
hitting
done that
reps. You're hitting
before.
reps, right? We're talking
Um,
reps.
so for me, that's a win, and that's how I'm viewing it, as more as like personal victories, man.
For sure.
And so yeah, you just got to detach from that, because for a while I was getting a little too carried away trying to hold on to it, but it's like form starts to slip,
For
then
sure.
it's just going to lead to an injury.
Yeah.
And I've had that happen in the past, and it's like, now I would rather, like the fear of the injury outweighs, the ego. So yeah, I'd rather just be smarter. So slowly but surely, I'm starting to, mature a little bit with my training over the years.
Cool. So what else you got, Dirk?
Your
How many
top,
questions you got?
just another one. I just got
Okay.
2 on my person. Your top 2 cons of being a bodybuilder.
Cons.
Yeah.
Okay. Dang. Uh, dang. Top 2 cons. I don't know. I
Cons?
mean, cons. I mean,
Like,
obviously, I don't know. It can take away from your social life, I guess. You
yeah.
know.
That's a good point.
Perhaps. Dang. I don't know what else, man. I guess, hey, food.
Yeah,
You're more. You're not certain. You're not gonna be eating certain things.
for sure. I think it's kind of
I think part
changing.
of it too is, like, um the just, yeah, with the eating, you're not able to just, enjoy food as much in a way. Like, you're always going from either, you're restricting yourself to you're forcing yourself to eat a lot more than you want to be eating. So you're never really staying in that sweet spot where you're just eating to satiety levels. Like, that's the thing. Like, whenever you come off of, like, for me, like, going from like from maybe a bulk to then going into a cut is like a great feeling, because I've been stuffing myself, and now I'm finally eating less. I'm kind of eating more around, so I'm kind of meeting my satiety. So it's like you don't really do that too much as a bodybuilder. You're either starving yourself or you're having
For
to
forced
push
food.
up.
For sure.
Right. You're not really, yeah. So maybe that's a con.
Cool. Dirk, did you take you have the ones from the Natty Boys page or no?
I have them. I have them open.
Okay, cool. I
All
we
right,
got
a few
there. We got, like,
questions are
5
already
there.
answered. Like what shows you plan to compete in? That's already answered. What do you think about RIR progression and training RP style in general? I think Renaissance periodization, like Mike used to tell.
What do I think about training in that style?
Yeah, so
RIR.
about
RAR,
like RIR
RAR,
progression, like starting the beginning of a meso with like
lower volume,
I think so.
more reps in reserve, and then
Yeah.
I mean, not against it. I'm open to a lot of different styles. I think that's what's cool about bodybuilding is there's no one specific way you have to do things. And like for instance, before I started working with AJ, I wasn't, I was training with more of a higher volume approach where I would rest less between sets. I would not take every set to failure, maybe the last set to failure, things like that. I wasn't, and I worked with 3NJ where we were, using the RPE scale, things like that. And then I'm working with him now, and I'm training with lower volume, but higher intensity, where I'm not leaving reps in reserve, for most sets. And I think I like to experiment with different training styles, and I've seen results training different ways. So I don't have anything against it. I haven't specifically like trained in that manner of how, Mike, Dr. Mike, preaches or promotes. So I can't say like from personal experience. I mean, if it works, it works. I don't know if it's the best way or not, but I think one issue a lot of people run into is, like people get caught up in the reps in reserve thing, and then they don't really know how to accurately gauge reps in reserve. And they're like, I think a lot of people get into that style of training before they've really learned like accurate reps in reserve gauging. So, they're leaving like, a lot of times people don't realize like, you're leaving like, you might be leaving like 6 reps in reserve on the leg press just because you've never really pushed to that point. So I think it's cool. I think it's important to like, have a period of time where you were, really taking things to failure, and what it's like to, really do that. And then, from there, you could, go to a rest and reserve approach and see a lot of great results that way, Um, but yeah, I mean, as long as you're, managing your fatigue, your training volume, and you can recover from sessions and progress, I mean, I don't see why not.
Exactly.
Solid. Yeah, I agree. What else?
Let's
We got like 3
see.
more, right, Dirk?
Yes.
I have a few on my
How
page.
soon do you see yourself winning the Yorton Cup? And if you don't, you should.
In parentheses, he says, if you don't, you should. He's pretty much, it's March. I don't know who this is. March 4th Fitness. I don't know if you know.
Oh, that's Ace.
That's
Oh,
Ace.
is that Ace? Okay.
Ace.
Yes, I think it's Ace.
He said the Yorton Cup?
Yeah.
Yorton, yeah.
I don't know why he's mentioning that. Did he?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did he compete in the Jordan Cup? Maybe is that why he's like insinuating that he wants you to do it?
No, I don't know why he mentioned that. Well, I haven't done an OCB, so
Yeah.
I can't.
You only competed with the
I've only done the WNBF, yeah. But hey, I'm not against it. I'm not against. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Maybe one day.
Prestige competition as well, the Yorton Cup, right?
Actually, dude, that's in September. Oh wait, that's a little bit far from. That's
September,
the Jordan Cup's in September, early September, in
you could
North
do it,
Carolina,
Wayne.
East Coast, bro.
Wayne, you could do it too.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Berto wants me to only compete in the WNBF. It seems like he pushes me. Like whenever I bring up other shows, he's like, "Oh, you should just do WNBF." So it's like he's pushing. You know what I mean? Like he kind of doesn't tell me that I should, but he like kind of insinuates that. But we'll see. I'm open to it. We got 2 more. Oh, this guy's a troll.
A troll.
He says,
what do we got?
drop the cycle. Jeez. I bet you get that all the time though. Like,
Oh man,
that you're not
it's
natty.
hilarious. It's like I spent 10 years. I spent 10 years
They don't know.
training just to weigh
Right.
173.
They don't
I'm
know. They don't know.
173 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna have to get to at least 170, if not lower. I
Dude, it's
spent 10
crazy. People
years
don't realize.
consistently training my tail off just
Yeah,
to
right.
weigh, just
They
to
don't
be
see
this
the work.
big.
That's why, though.
Um,
Kind of like you can't blame him. When Dirk
but
won the Worlds, oh my God, they were blowing his shit up. But he got like a million
yeah,
comments, whereas
The
like literally, yeah,
throwing up smileys.
it's
yeah,
I can only imagine, man. It's like if you have a decent physique as a natural bodybuilder, you
you
know,
can't be natty. There's no way you can be
you're not
natty.
natty.
It will always be like that, I think. Always. It will always be like that.
Yeah,
Like there will always be
Yeah.
pure. I see that as a compliment. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
right. Yeah.
there's always those people. It's like you look at any sport. That's the one thing I had to look at because I got those comments but it's like, man, dude, you get LeBron James, you get people talking about him all the time. Like
Yeah.
any top level athlete has these people saying
Yeah.
this and that about him. It's like
the haters.
it is what it
Yeah.
is.
That's when you know you made it, though. You right? Like when people just can't believe how good you are, they have to have some type of excuse. All right, there's one more, right? What is this one?
One more.
Then I have a couple more.
Has he been caught by the new trends in fitness, lengthened partial abs, strength curve?
This is a good one. Have you dabbled in that, like working in
I,
lengthened partials?
I have not. I've heard
Uh,
more about it. But
Yeah,
I have yet to do that.
yeah. Give that a shot, bro. I think Dirk and I can attest. Because
Yeah.
Birdo gives us lengthened partials all the time. This offseason was
Since
real
man,
good.
that's nearly after prep, like, since 1.5
just-
years.
Yeah.
So y'all seen some results?
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
And it's hard
definitely.
to tell, like, if it was like that specifically, like, because this was like the biggest productive off season for me.
Yeah, same.
We tried to bring
same.
back up and arms up, and we were doing a lot of lengthened partials and just overloading that lengthened position. And I know there's not that much research out on it yet, like especially in trained individuals like us that have been training for like 10 years, right? But this is like anecdotal. It's like that's how I feel about everything, right? It's like if there's like a new trend like this, like lengthened partials, and try it, right? Try it and see if it works instead of just talking about it.
Yeah.
Give it like 6 months and just implement it, and you'll see if it works for you or not.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a lot of it is just try stuff out. Like people just
see what works best.
they want to find the perfect routine, the perfect approach.
Yeah.
Without like just actually getting in the gym and like trying it yourself. Like
exactly.
See if this works for you or see if you enjoy it or not.
Right. Exactly. All right, I got a few more. This guy says, "Goddamn, he's natural." Yes, he is. In your years of lifting, have you ever felt creatine was a placebo? Is it?
Oh, this is good. Mandatory? I don't take creatine.
You don't take creatine?
I don't even take creatine.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, the reason why I don't
it's like the best supplement.
Take it. The reason why I don't take it now is just in spite of people.
Really? Wow.
Because it's like people don't even think I'm natural. I was like, I don't even take creatine. I actually don't take creatine though. Just because of that.
Because of that. Wow.
Just because of that. It's it's like the most researched supplement.
Yeah,
but it's like
you take creatine?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You feel like hell yeah. I feel like it helps a lot. But yeah, that's neither here nor there. But all right, last one. Oh, this is a good one. Difference between coaching with 3DMJ and AJ, if you want to talk about it. Talk about it.
Well,
First, was your relationship with Jeff, like, how was that? Because we kind of spoke about it, but not in depth. Was it good? You stayed at his house, and you guys.
It was great, man. Like, man, if it wasn't for him, who knows if I would have ever competed again? Like he made that first experience great, man. Like it was really good, man. He was kind of like a father figure for me, man.
Yeah, that's great.
Kind of felt like that. Being younger like that, prepping and stuff. But no, it was really good, man. I think the approaches are just, obviously like at least for me, working with AJ, I worked with him in the off season, and I didn't do that with Jeff. And so maybe that was one thing a little differently. AJ was really on my training, and going overseeing that. And of course, just like with the dieting too, like with kind of following more of like a meal plan. With AJ, that was something different, which I wasn't doing with 3DMJ.
Yeah, they
And
just give you macros, right? And like
it was
calorie
it was
ranges.
macro targets and a little more flexibility there.
Yeah.
And of course with the the training approach, AJ's training approach is a little different. I will say like with the refeeds, like like when I was prepping with them with 3DMJ, I was having like pretty much from the start of my prep, I believe I actually had like refeed days, like typically 2 refeed days a week. And with AJ, for the most of the prep, I wasn't doing refeed days at all. Just set macros the same, basically. Maybe training day macros a little different from rest day macros. That is something that was a little different with AJ too. Is there was some variation there, and then like for the most of this prep, haven't even had refeed days up until now. Like I'm literally just doing one a week right now. But it's been doing the job. That was something a little different. Of course, with deload sessions, that was a little different. And now I've been doing more so the volume sessions, where the intensity is more or less the same, but it's more so just a drop in volume. Um, with those sessions, or with those weeks. But yeah, there's some differences there. But I mean, man, I had great experiences with 3DMJ as well as with AJ. They're both great, great coaches. And so yeah,
Yeah. Both good. There's not only one way to skin a cat, right? Is that the saying?
yeah, no, and again, it's one of those things where for me, I just wanted to try out AJ's approach because I knew it was different, and I'm open to learning, different approaches, and learning more. I'm taking things like, I can take things from when I worked with Jeff and the approach to training there, and I've learned things from him, and as well as working with AJ, and yes, I think that's what's really cool about this, that it's like everybody doesn't do things exactly the same,
Right.
but you can still get results. So
Exactly. Cool, man. That's great. All right, final thoughts. Actually, one more thing I want to cover. Because I want to make sure that we, that whole mental health thing, because I want the viewer to kind of know, because this is a big part of bodybuilding, right? A lot of people go through like those binge eating stuff, just things that a contest prep may kind of like negative issues that may kind of come up just going through contest preps, right? And what was like a time like, so do you still have those binge eating problems or right now or no?
I have not, I haven't,
So
I haven't had any issue
how did
this
you
whole
like kind of
prep.
get
I
over it?
haven't had any crazy cravings, man. And I think a lot of it's just the way my approach to eating, my eating habits, because a lot of those habits you have before your prep, they're going to carry over into the prep, you know. And
Yeah.
so, for me, like for example, like with the eating habits, I think a lot of people that's an issue, just going into a prep not having a good relationship with food is, yeah, I mean that's a recipe for disaster.
Disaster.
You're gonna have issues, yeah. Um, and so that was the big thing. It was just like, that needed to get sorted out, like, and I worked with AJ since it's been almost 2 years now. So for that period of time, like I developed a much healthier relationship with food, and the way I was eating was a lot better. And now going into this prep, man, is yeah, I haven't like I'm not even. I mean, like obviously my hunger's up now. I
Yeah.
still like, I still would love to eat certain foods, but I'm not, having like these crazy cravings. I haven't binged or gone off plan,
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, man. And a lot of that's just due to the eating habits outside of prep, man. that's what I really believe, and I think that's a big thing. Like it's super important to develop that, have a good relationship with food, man. And yeah, like if it fits your macros thing, I think it can be taken too far, and like I think that's something I was doing, like back then, where I took that too far and was fitting just not eating. It's just like the way I was eating was just not healthy, man. And now the whole approach has changed, and dude, it's made a world of difference. But those habits you have outside of prep are going to affect you during your prep. And so developing, healthy habits, outside of that prep will make a world of difference. And then just mental health, man, like your ability to deal with stress and manage stress is super important when you're prepping. And I think previously I just wasn't as um, I just I struggled more with that, and I've got better at that now. Of just managing stress, and that's affected this prep, and really benefited me in a lot of ways. So yeah, I think that's a big part of it too. My approach to training has changed, man. Just mentally when I'm training, it's different than how it used to be. Um, just taking care of your mental health, is super important. Meditation, healthy practices like that
You
can
meditate?
make a difference. Yeah, I do like guided meditations. I got in the habit of doing that, but just being
Same,
more
same.
present, mindfulness, being more present
Yeah,
during the day, and that helps. I think that's also like helping deal with hunger and things like that as well. Too,
for sure.
is instead of like a lot of times during preps, people want to um they don't they want to like avoid the feeling of hunger versus just kind of accepting it, and being present with it. Like that's part of it. And that's a big part of it too, is like these people trying to like eat these massive salads just to fill themselves up and
That's what Matt August does.
have that.
Do you remember that shit? I
Yeah,
know you
those
remember
ogre
that.
salads,
Those
but
big ass salad bowls.
just like doing things like that versus just kind of accepting like this is part of it. And I'm gonna be hungry, man. um
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's okay. You know but your mental game, man, if you up your mental game, it's gonna
Yep.
improve everything else, man. That's what I learned about bodybuilding, man. It's like that's the game changer for me, man. Is making the mental gains. That's helping me make
For
more
sure. For sure.
bodybuilding gains. um
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so that's something that definitely needs to be addressed, man. Like with bodybuilding,
Nah, for
so many
sure.
people getting into this due to having issues with their
Oh
mental
yeah,
health.
it's so common, but
um
not a lot of
yeah,
people talk about it because it's kind of like a sensitive thing, and you don't
Because you
want to
get
feel
into
like
the sport with
weak.
the wrong reasons as well. Like it attracts mentally unhealthy
yeah,
people bodybuilding.
Yeah,
right,
Because yeah.
for
yeah.
sure, for
And
sure.
I think being able to over time like change, kind of like shift your reasoning for why you're doing this. Like, for me going into it, it was like self-esteem issues, lack of self-confidence. But now it's more so like enjoyment just for the process, like the process of like going through a prep and having to like be uncomfortable and having to, you know, do something that's challenging. And like you're choosing to put yourself in this uncomfortable situation. It's delayed gratification,
For sure.
and doing it, yeah, just doing it, like enjoying that process, embracing that process, and like, just loving training, versus, just training because you're self-conscious, versus just going in because, oh man, I look forward to this movement. Like I'm enjoying actually improving and perfecting this exercise, or, just, yeah, you know. So,
yeah, for sure.
but yeah, that's big, man. And that's one thing that's helped me, man, is addressing, just some of those issues. It's like it's
Yeah, the
okay if you
sensitive
have an
topics,
issue,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And for me, like initially, it was like I didn't want to come to terms with the fact that I had issues. And it's like the sooner you come to terms with that, the sooner you can like address it and level up.
right.
You know.
For sure. That was awesome, man. Let's leave it with this. We'll end it off with this. One piece of advice for someone that maybe is going through some like mental health issues or like some just health issues with bodybuilding, like maybe binge eating or I don't know, bulimia or something. What advice do you have for someone that's going through like something similar to what you went through? One piece of advice.
Man, I would say, try to reach out to somebody. Like for me, I reached out to AJ. I was struggling mentally at the time. I had somebody like that, like somebody that was where I wanted to be. I looked up to him because of where he was, because of who he is, but because of so it was kind of like a mentor. Kind of felt like a mentor for me, somebody that I could learn from, somebody that was I respected and was doing things when a way I felt was the right way. I was taking a healthy approach to
Right.
this thing that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so I learned, that was part of it, for me was, reaching out to somebody, you
Sure.
know, but yeah, the first thing is you got to realize or recognize that you have, you know, like an issue here or something that you have something that needs to be addressed. And then from there, yeah, I think actually reaching out, trying to learn more about whatever it is that you're going through and then taking steps from there. Um, and I mean, that'll make a world of difference, especially like if you can find somebody that, you can build a relationship with and that somebody that, maybe knows more than you do and they can help you. And yeah, if you're willing to like change your habits, and develop, healthier habits over
Yeah.
time, I mean, it'll make a difference, like it made a difference for me. Like I almost can't even believe I'm doing this right now. That's the funny thing
That's
about it.
awesome,
Like
bro.
2 years ago, I thought I wouldn't even do this again.
Right.
Um, so it's crazy how so much of this game is mental, man. So much of bodybuilding is mental,
But
man.
life is like that, right? And
Yeah,
yeah, bodybuilding too. But yeah, man, for sure, bro. That's awesome. But yeah, shout out AJ. Because without
yep.
AJ, we might not be talking to Josh right now.
Shout out to
he'd just be in
him.
Georgia, just not lifting, doing it,
Yeah,
whatever he
I don't,
does
I don't know,
out
man.
there.
Yes, that's true. And yeah, I've had to reflect on that, man. But part of it too is you got to take that step. I took that step to reach out to him.
Right.
Because I felt like this is what I need to do to
Yeah.
move me in a better direction.
Hell yeah.
So sometimes we know what we need to do, but we're just afraid to take that step.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's a big part of it too, is take that time to just be present with
Hell yeah.
yourself and realize like, okay, well, like what do I really want, man?
Yeah.
If I'm not
Yeah.
happy with this or where I am, then I need to figure out what I need to do to move myself in that direction I want to go in.
Yeah, man. For sure. Yeah, and that's true. That's a good point that you mentioned. Recognizing like that you have an issue, because some people just, they don't
They
even
don't
know.
want to come to terms with it.
Right.
Sometimes you don't want to come to terms with it. You don't
Nah.
want
Yeah.
to because it hurts or
Right.
it's
You don't
uncomfortable
want to
to
believe something's
know.
wrong with you, right? You don't want
Yeah,
to believe
yeah,
you're
yeah.
sick, mentally sick, right? Because
But that's
it's
like that first
a big part of it.
step to like improving yourself, man.
For sure. For
That
sure,
that
man.
that that, that was the case for me, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like a lot can change in a few years, man.
Hell yeah, man. Solid. All right, we'll end it here.
All
Where
right.
can we find you, Josh? You can give your socials out.
Go to Instagram. That's where I'm mostly at. Just Kenyon the third on there. Or you could just type in Joshua Kenyon. Go on YouTube. I've been posting some of this prep
Alright,
actually on
you've
there.
been posting on YouTube.
Just my name, Joshua Kenyon. Facebook, same thing. Yeah, that's really it.
Fire.
Heck
All right.
yeah.
Natty Boys Podcast. Yo, that was awesome. We're out. Peace. It's been another
Peace out.
episode. Bang, bang, bang.
There we
That was
go.
fire, man. Damn, it's already 12, bro. It's 12:30. I'm sorry, Josh. Yeah, I
Oh,
appreciate you
yeah.
coming
I
on and,
was
like chopping it up, bro. Cause
I was going on and